coming to you again this evening, live at Shanty Road University Studios. I am Bobby Lee Jordan, and this is Life Lessons with the legend, Bobby Lee Jordan. Tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about politics and my history with politics a little bit. But before I do that, I need to make clear something. Last week, I talked about global warming, and I ain't too big on it. But my executive producer, Sommer, did point out to me afterwards that there's no negative impact to us trying to do these things that, folks want us to do, recycling and all that jazz. So that's a really good point. There's no negative impact to it. So to each his own. If you agree with me, good. If you disagree with me, that's fine too. I expect you to think about it and form your own opinion, educated opinion, not just take what somebody tells you as gospel. You have to think. That's what I really want you to do. And all of these life lessons is make you think and talk with your family and get a conversation started. So anyway, with that out of the way, in 1964, I was 11 years old. I remember sitting with my grandma watching the Republican National Convention on television. I was fascinated by it. People making speeches and all the rhetoric and I couldn't tell you what they said now. It was so long ago. But I thought, wow, man, this is politics. This is interesting stuff. I don't know why I was interested, but it captivated me. And so I was interested in it. 1968 came and I was delivering newspapers and I would read the paper. Of course, I read it. I carried it. And I remember very well one sentence from an editorial. Page 4 was the editorial page of Daily Independent. 1968, George Wallace, governor of Alabama, running as an independent, or either the American Party or something. It was not a Republican or Democrat. And here's the statement he made, and it stuck with me. He said there's not a dime's worth of difference between the Democrats and Republicans. And I've thought about that a lot over the years, and I was young then and easily influenced. And I thought, yeah, there ain't a dime's worth of difference. Really, there is a dime's worth of difference. There's a lot of difference, but that's for you to decide why you want to be a Democrat and why you want to be a Republican. As I've told folks I talk to, if you want me to vote a certain way, you better have 3 good reasons. Not just because your grandpa told you to always vote Democrat. Grandma said always vote Republican. Then you just need to stay at home and don't go vote. If you don't have any thoughts on any reason that you could give me why I should vote a certain way. In 1976, I really got interested in it just before I got out of the Army. I had some time on my hands and I read Time magazine, Newsweek, and I followed the presidential race with Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter very closely. I was impressed with Jimmy Carter. He's a Democrat from Georgia, governor, Southern state, Southern Baptist Sunday school teacher. I mean, well, how can you go wrong? Well, I'll tell you, that was the last Democrat I ever voted for, was Jimmy Carter. He was a big disappointment. I was so frustrated with him, and we had lived through a period of I can't think of the word I'm looking for now, but it was not a good time in this country to be trying to get by, raise a family, make a living. And we're going to skip a bunch of years. Today, our country is so divided. It breaks my heart to think that our country, our fellow Americans, are so divided against each other. But really, I really believe that you've got about 10% on the radical left, 10% radical right, and they get all the headlines. They make all the news. That's not to say that the 80% in the middle have any sense, because most of them probably shouldn't even be voting either. I watch people come in the exit door at Walmart. I mean, what? You shouldn't be allowed to vote. I know people that eat up that wrestling, they believe it's real. they should not be allowed to vote. There should be a test to vote. And the idea is that we're really in bad shape. Some people would say we're headed to hell in a handbasket. But I've thought about it a little bit more, and I don't want to discourage anybody from being involved in the political process. I really believe, probably in the 20s, if we had YouTube back then, somebody would have been sitting here telling you the same thing I'm telling you now about what shape this country's in. And in the 40s and the 60s and the 80s. It's just a cycle we go through. Every generation thinks this is the worst it has ever been, and it ain't never going to be any better. But I believe that future generations, they'll somehow find a way to survive. We'll keep going, and I only hope and pray that we do, for my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren's sake, that we continue to strive and be a great country. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. Any questions? No questions, good. Until I see you again, y'all act like you got some sense.